Good day, my name is Angelo. This is Nation Voice Tower. How have we been? I hope we've been doing perfectly alright. I am here with the updates for today. The country has been thrown in chaos. Lots of things are happening, okay? Lots of things are going haywire, and Abuja is gradually becoming a hub for kidnappers and a means of making themselves richer and richer. Of course, corrupt practices have taken over the government, and far away the north and the north central, lots of things, even the northeast, are experiencing a high level of insurgency. In the wake of this, the Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Gregory Obi has called out Bola Ahmed Tinubu and his administration and the former administration of President Muhammadu Buhari. In this particular statement, he actually criticized the administration of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, alleging that they have failed to tackle or fulfill the promises they made to Nigerians in their manifesto, especially Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Peter Gregory Obi was of the opinion that if former President Muhammadu Buhari failed to tackle the three key issues that he brought on board, which made him win elections, that is security, economy, and corruption, then Bola Ahmed Tinubu came with the same strategy and deceit to deceive Nigerians and say he was also going to tackle security and the economy also and corruption. But 4 to many months later, according to Peter Obi, nothing has been done. He therefore called out Kashim Shettima, the vice president, and Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu to stop all the unnecessary travels and journeys outside the country, sit in Nigeria and tackle the issues that are bothering Nigeria. Because according to Peter Gregory Obi, in this particular documentary, he was of the great opinion that there is no investor anywhere that could actually find himself investing or visiting a country like Nigeria if insecurity is at a high level. The presidential candidate of the Labour Party in the 2023 general elections, Mr. Peter Gregory Obi, on Wednesday said former President Muhammadu Buhari failed in the area of security for 8 years and that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu appeared to be repeating the same mistake. He therefore called on the Tinubu administration to take decisive action on the growing insecurity in the country. Peter Obi was reacting to the renewed security breaches in some parts of the country, especially in the Federal Capital Territory, FCT, where gunmen had wreaked heinous crimes on the city. The former governor of Anambra State, in a statement on Wednesday, described the recent killings of 2 abducted young girls in Abuja as depressing, adding that it was time for the leaders to take all forms of serious measures to tackle the situation. As terror attacks, banditry, kidnappings, and violence continue to rage through the country, it is more concerning now with the surge of violence spreading through the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. The recent killings of 2 abducted young girls in Abuja makes it more depressing and urgent. It is now time for us, the leaders, to take all forms of serious measures to tackle the situation. It is therefore unfortunate that President Muhammadu Buhari in 2015 campaigned and won the elections on 3 items: security, economy, and corruption. After his 8 years in office, the situation has worsened in all 3 areas. The present administration, on assuming office, promised to deal decisively with the same situation: security, economy, and corruption. Today, however, the situation is getting even worse than ever. At the annual General Conference of the Nigerian Bar Association held in Lagos in August 2022, the then vice presidential candidate, Senator Kashim Shettima, categorically stated that if APC is elected, he as vice president will be in charge of security, while the president as an expert in economy would handle the economy. Nigerians therefore now implore them to fulfill their campaign promises. Even if they do not achieve 100% results, we want to see 100% effort. It is now time to stop all forms of foreign trips from people in government until we deal with the ugly situation facing us at home. No foreign investor or partner will like to visit Nigeria or invest in Nigeria with the situation we now find ourselves in. We must therefore make sincere efforts to end the spread of violence and insecurity in our nation in order to make any meaningful progress in all we do. Yes, I absolutely agree with Peter Obi there. Stop all the journeys, stop going around the world for meetings, summits, conferences, bilateral deals and all that. The reasons you're going outside Nigeria are the same reasons people would like to visit Nigeria. If you don't make your country very, very secure, there will be no investors that will come here. Investments will not come from anywhere. There will be little or no diffusion of foreign ideas. There will be no, there will be no availability of foreign exchange, as well as other, economically inclined conundrums that will catch up with the country, and that afterwards the country would now go into extinction. This is what Peter Obi is saying. I agree with him 100% because these are the best things to do. When they were campaigning about security, economy, and corruption, they never knew that it was this hard. Talking about coming in power or coming on board, it's very, very simple, of course. Says the usual adage, talk is cheap. Talk is cheap. Yeah, talk is cheap. So you would say anything you want to say because you want to be voted for. Alright, you are finally coming to power without even being voted for, and you have failed to fulfill just one of any of the promises you made to the people who you claim voted you into power. Alright, Peter Obi is not even asking them to do 100% of what they had promised Nigerians. He is just saying, if you can't do 100%, let us see 100% efforts. That is what he is saying. He reminded Kashim Shettima of the statement he made and the promise he made when he saw a crowd during the conference of the Nigerian Bar Association. Kashim Shettima was all joy and all excitement, and he was making promises left, here, right, and center. Alright, he never knew that governing a country is different from being a senator. He governed. I don't even know how we think in this country. He governed. He was governor of Borno State for almost 8 years, and nothing was shown for it. Under his watch, lots of things went wrong. Chibok girls went missing. Dapchi girls went missing. Alright, in states neighboring to his state, and even in his state. Alright, insurgency was at the high level when he took over power, and nothing was done about it. Right, so I am very, very shocked that somebody like Kashim Shettima was still brought into power. They claim that Bola Ahmed Tinubu is an economist, but we've seen nothing from him. So this is categorically saying that Bola Siwaju Ahmed Tinubu and Kashim Shettima have finally, emerged as failures to, in contrary to what they actually promised Nigerians initially. Right. That is that on that update. Still on issue of governance, former Vice President Yemi Osibajo has spoken on different scenarios of governance with his former boss, former President Muhammadu Buhari. In this video that looks to be a comic relief, the former VP Osibajo was really speaking on different, scenarios where his former boss made him smile and laugh in various occasions with his statements. I will tell you something about this video after you watch this video. This was in a book launch recently. Please listen to former Vice President Yemi Osibajo.
Sometime in 2019, I complained to him very bitterly about a libelous comment that was made against me, and that I wanted to give him notice that I would be suing those who had libeled me. And he said to me in his usual style, Professor, don't let these people bother you. Do you know what they did to me recently? They actually printed an invitation card that I was going to get married. on a Friday at the National Mosque. He said, and you won't believe Nigerians, there were thousands of them waiting for me at the National waiting for me to come and get married. and to tell you that President Buhari was always ready to laugh at himself. Of course, we've heard already from General IBM Haruna, retired, of how, when he was being criticized about his journeys and all that. But the second part of that story is that Femi also additional tells a story of how, following his overseas trips, which were criticized, by the press, in an opinion piece in a newspaper criticizing his travels abroad, the headline was, "When will President Buhari visit Nigeria?" End of quote. And the president laughed and laughed. I remember sometime in 2016, just before he went on his medical vacation, I told him I wanted to visit the oil-producing communities in the Delta, and that I thought dialogue with the militants in the wake of the destruction of pipelines and other assets was a good idea. And he told me the experiences of the then Minister of Youth and Sports, Talong, who had visited the Delta some time back. But while agreeing with me that it was a good idea, and just as I was getting up to leave, he said with that mischievous glint in his eye, "Professor, don't be the first vice president to be kidnapped." There's a story that the president likes to tell, and it is about the German century. And Femi Adesina recounts that story in the book. And President Buhari told that story again when the peace committee headed by General Abdusalam Abubakar visited him. And also in that team were the Sultan of Sokoto and Bishop Hassan Kuka. They had come to appeal to him and that the anti-corruption war should be waged within the ambit of the rule of law. The president listened patiently and then responded, "In the military, there used to be a joke about the German sentry." And he then explained that when a sentry is on duty at night, an ordinary sentry, and he hears any movement in the dark, he would back out. "Who goes there?" Advance to be recognized, with his gun ready. He will then interrogate the person, and if he tells an acceptable story, he waves the person on. But the German sentry is different. When he hears a movement in the dark, he immediately lets out a volley of shots, and then he shouts, "Who went there?" Of course, there will be absolute silence because he's already killed the person. The president then explained to his audience that when he came as a military ruler, he was like the German sentry. "I packed all the people who were suspected of corruption and kept them in protective custody. And I told them that they were corrupt until they could prove themselves innocent. But now, under a democratic setting, I see corrupt people going around in Rolls-Royce cars, but they remain innocent until I can prove them guilty." Femi Adesina writes that on one occasion, President Buhari sent him to represent him at a book launch. And when he asked him, "So how much should I donate on your behalf?" President Buhari said, "Give them a big smile and tell them that that is what I sent." I hope on behalf of the authors today that those of you here will come with more than a big smile.
All right, Yemi Osibajo there. It's funny, I told you, this to me sounds like more of a comic relief than what I'm trying to say now. But nonetheless, we'll say what we want to say. He said, "Professor, please don't be the first vice president to be kidnapped." Yes, those things were comic reliefs, but that goes further to tell you that President Muhammadu Buhari never took Nigeria very seriously. That is the reason why, or that is what I'm trying to tell you in this particular, video that you just watched. Former President Muhammadu Buhari never took Nigerians seriously. He was always laughing because he finally knew that he could not do anything about the problems of Nigeria. So finally, the only option for him was to laugh around and then do the ones he could do and leave office. Remember, he was saying that after his handover, nobody should even call him and ask him anything pertaining to governance in Nigeria again. he was even very, very tired then. You know, he said he would move to Niger Republic after his handing over, but the border has been closed. I don't even know where we are. I don't know how he would go to Niger Republic now. I don't even know if they will accept him in Niger Republic. But, well, between himself, that is Yemi Osibajo, and his former boss, former President Muhammadu Buhari, was a very, very cool relationship, though that was what we were meant to believe. But there were lots of comic reliefs between their stages of governance, and they found out that Nigeria was too big for the both of them, and all they could do was manage the 8 years and leave the office untended to or unattended to. Alright, finally, this is funny, but in as much as I am very, very angry reading it right now, but I will still say it. There are people who are lunatics in Nigeria. There are people who are actually not thinking right. There are people who are actually insane in Nigeria. Let me tell you why. There is no case to answer. Do you know what? Why? A group has emerged to tell the world and to tell Nigerians that Femi Gbajabiamila, the chief of staff of the president, has no case to answer on the issues or on the scandal emerging from the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs. Same scandal that implicated Dr. Betta Edu, the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation. Alright, I don't know what this group were given. I don't know how much they were paid to make this press conference. But I would love you to listen to their convener and hear what this group had to say. I am shocked, as you will be shocked when you watch this video. Please stay tuned.
It is for this reason that Cisco TIG today is concerned on the ongoing attempts to drag in the Chief of Staff to the President, Right Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila, into the issue. We are concerned that this could have undesired consequences, even from the perspective of those who are pursuing this narrative. For instance, we have seen tenuous analysis that concluded Gbajabiamila's guilt simply because he was listed as Edu's reference on the CV used for her confirmatory screening before the Senate. Some surmise that the Chief of Staff was part of the transactions because he is reportedly of the same political sub-block as some people who have been insinuated to be connected with the issue. These conjectures have been made to gain ground, even though those behind them are aware that they do not have the facts to back up these claims. But the most outlandish of these claims is the one that comically concluded that the Chief of Staff is complicit in the transactions being investigated because he forwarded the memo containing President Tinubu's approval to the suspended minister for the release of 3 billion naira for the verification of the National Social Register compiled by the former administration of President Muhammadu Buhari. This even has implications for the eventual outcome of any resulting trial, since charging the wrong persons could jeopardize such trials. The second is the unwitting frustration of governance, when people demand impractical workflow, like insinuating that the Chief of Staff should not have transmitted Mr. President's approval to the suspended minister. Consequently, the Civil Society Coalition for Transparency in Governance, Cisco TIG, is urging Nigerians to resist the temptation of reducing the investigation of the humanitarian affairs and poverty alleviation into a reality show that would only serve entertainment purposes. This is a serious matter as it affects the well-being of the vulnerable and the poorest of the poor amongst us, whose welfare must on no condition be diverted for the selfish use of a few individuals. We as Nigerians must also not lend ourselves to becoming part of a lynch mob, deployed for settling political scores by conducting media trials that declare people guilty, even when they have not established that they were part of the problems we are addressing.
Okay, finally, it was confirmed somehow that Femi Gbajabiamila was involved in that deal that brought out millions of naira, billions of naira to the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, all right? To show you the first proof that he was actually planning this all along, he was the person who stood, he was the referee for Dr. Betta Edu while she was being screened and grilled at the House of Senate during her ministerial screening. That is to tell you that he actually was instrumental to her appointment as minister. You remember when I gave you updates that he was collecting money here and there to appoint people or to put people in the ministerial appointee list? Yeah, we have confirmed, right? He stood for Dr. Betta Edu at the House of Senate as her referee, one. Then two, she actually alleged that some monies that were assigned to her office and were used or disbursed for use were actually, under the control and permission of the Chief of Staff, Femi Gbajabiamila. And then forward to many days ago, there was a memo that erupted to show that Femi Gbajabiamila actually wrote to the president, who approved a loan or disbursement of cash in the tone of 3 billion naira for the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs. That seemed like a cover-up. So his name being involved in these three cases, we did no evidence whatsoever to know that Femi Gbajabiamila was actually or single-handedly planned the emergence of Dr. Betta Edu as Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation. So, all said and done, this group, I would say, were paid or was paid to come and make this sham press conference, because there is no group in Nigeria whatsoever that would support Femi Gbajabiamila for involvement in this corrupt practice in the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs. This has been the trend right from the post-election period last year. They brought out a new trend of, sponsoring fake press conferences with hungry Nigerians collecting funds to come out and pose as a certain civil society organization to make cases for wrong people and wrong corrupt practices or wrongdoings over time in governance, or to make their point in a very or in the most weird manner. This is a new trend, and I'm not shocked with that group there. I don't know who they are. I don't want to know who they are. But all I know is they are doing the wrong thing right now. Thank you so much for staying this far. Please don't forget to like our videos, share them. Please drop comments for us in the comment section. If you're watching me for the first time, please tap the subscribe button as well as the notification bell so that you will always see me. Drop these comments coming. I'm not seeing them coming. Come on, what are we doing? Are we tired already? We've not reclaimed the country. So please follow us for more details and more updates. See you next time. Bye.